Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books. Today we have a few things to talk about. First up, woke toys not selling. In depth. Bleeding Fool did a good article on this, and they point out that Marvel and Disney are losing billions by pushing woke toys. They're right. The damage to the brand, it's not in the millions. It's not just some Rose Tico toys that didn't sell, and some Black Widow or whatnot, and other strange toys. This damages the Marvel brand tremendously. It lets people know that when they get into business with Marvel licensing, as a toy company or whatever other company licensing their brands, they're not going to just do well. Back in the day, it wasn't like that. Also, we're going to check out Disney Explorer's membership program like Amazon Prime to offer discounts and perks. This is about Disney hustling to do whatever they can to do to create a new revenue source and try to redefine their business a bit. Because, as we know, the woke toys are not selling. Their brands are being damaged by the woke push. And additionally, other toy news, Todd McFarlane is taking on Flash in his wave of DC Comics page punchers. I noticed this earlier today. To be honest with you, I wasn't going to cover it. And then Ethan Van Sciver did a great video where he was explaining, this is kind of like Todd McFarlane is publishing DC Comics. He's right. He's right. So we'll get into that. But first, before we get into the first article, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. And give me a thumbs up when you like it. It's huge, huge help, and I really appreciate you doing that. Okay, coming from Bleeding Fool, Marvel and Disney losing billions by pushing woke toys. Toy firms that possess licenses for popular brands like Star Wars, Disney, and Marvel and the Marvel characters. That was like getting gold, getting a chance at getting one of their licenses. Disney's licensing department has always been like, whatever, 5-star, top shelf. Like, they got the most money for the licensing. When they acquired Star Wars and when they acquired Marvel in particular, Disney put out that they expect to be able to generate more revenue in licensing, because when you have a Disney property, not only do they have better distribution, but they have more aggressive deals because Disney stuff always sells. Well, not anymore. Now, when you have their licenses, you are obligated to follow the rules set forth by the businesses that dominate these huge consumer markets. But the latest characters and products coming out of Lucasfilm have zero consumer appeal. Lucasfilm, Rose Tico. And even worse, their classic counterparts, Han, Leia, Luke, are all beginning to see diminishing returns as well. And why? Why is Luke Skywalker not selling as well? Well, aside from creating negative connotations associated with Luke Skywalker in all of their, treatment of the character, they're not doing anything to promote it. So, you can attack it, but over time, if you don't promote what you're selling, it's not going to sell. You have to at least like what you're selling. According to the reporting by That Park Plays, one toy company insider they've heard from says, "We have mandates from companies operating in 3 huge consumer categories. Princesses are doing well. No issues. Lucasfilm is a disaster. New characters have no consumer pull, which means no consumer interest. And even worse, classic characters are starting to see diminishing returns." You can only be negative about Han Solo and not promote what you want to see from Han Solo for just so long that you're going to keep selling Millennium Falcons. It doesn't last forever. Star Wars were previously the most expensive royalties at Disney, though it can vary by category, but following the veritable deluge of markdowns at retail, many of the bigger guys were able to negotiate not only rebates, but even concessions on next product because of the markdowns. Which is to say that the lost money that the retailers had, that the manufacturers had, they are getting future benefits and cheaper deals to make up for their losses, which is, I guarantee you, not in any of their financial statements at Disney, and they frankly really should be. There should be what you'd call impairments or markdowns. If you have markdowns at the retail level, you should have markdowns to the goodwill, to the value of the brands. But I bet you they don't. If it ain't selling, Walmart doesn't want your dead plastic garment or whatever. Also, the brand is no longer a theatrical brand, meaning the Lucasfilm brands, and they didn't go over well with business partners, because absolutely animation is a big deal with pushing toys being sold, but theatrical is a very, very big deal. And when you have a new movie coming out, you can sell almost anything based on that movie, especially if there's a lot of momentum and a lot of interest built into it. Although prices fluctuate depending on the category, Star Wars used to be Disney's most expensive license, but as a result of what appears to be a genuine flood of markdowns at stores, several of the bigger players were able to secure rebates as well as reductions on a lot of those items. Rebates? So they have to give money back? Since Star Wars is no longer a theatrical brand, Disney's business partners in the toy industry are, again, a lot less happy. Because there isn't interest. There isn't momentum. When you have a retail store and you buy merchandise and you want to sell that merchandise, you want people coming in so that they quickly buy it. You want stuff in on a Wednesday and you want it out on a Saturday if you can have it. You love sellouts. You don't want stuff where it's like, oh, yeah. If you happen to go into the store and you see a cool Star Wars toy from some of the classic brands, maybe you'll pick it up. Well, that means if there's no impetus, there's no event that causes you to go into the store and have excitement and buy stuff out immediately, it sits on the shelf forever. That's not good for a store. It ties up their money. And sometimes this stuff never sells. YouTube world-class bullshitters report that they're hearing rumbles from insiders that both Marvel and Star Wars licenses are way down, as most of the new stuff is failing to generate the level of interest that brings in the big money. While characters like Spider-Man, Captain America, and Iron Man essentially are keeping Marvel and their toy line afloat, newcomers like the Eternals are not moving at all. And there's a link to the bullshitters video, so I'll make sure you have that. Disney's merchandise departments create strict contracts for Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, and the like, which consider factors based on character polling, design, screen time, future plans, characterization, in-story interactions, and they know full well how these factors impact merchandise sales. The toy business is not a new business. It was new back in the day of Star Wars, where licensed product was not something that you saw based on movies. Things have changed, but that was the 1970s. A lot of time has passed. They have their numbers. They know what works, and they know what doesn't work. That Park Place, great website, says that this is all figured into their business model, but now they're focusing on equity and inclusion. The toy industry is imploding. Quote, this attempt by Marvel to move 50% female representation of their licensed products is reportedly crashing the toy industry, making Marvel merchandise. Little girls want to play with Barbie, baby dolls, Polly Pocket, etc. Little boys want to play with cars, robot dinosaurs. I love robot dinosaurs. Ninja Turtles, and muscled out superheroes. Is that true for every little boy and every little girl all the time? No, of course not. But when it comes to trends and when it comes to the scale of nations, it matters if it's generally true, and it is. And they say here, want to make it worse? Sure you do. How about Marvel obliges you to ship a case pack of Eternal-themed drinking cups for each case of classic characters shipped, something they did over many categories when Eternals came out. How terrible for the retailers. At that point, the markdowns are so significant that you're losing money. In my example, also virtually none of the purely TV characters even register with consumers for merchandising purposes. Literally none. So TV is not driving any character purchases. So the movies are important. This is one of those lines that let the original receipt of the email know that the information is likely legitimate. Indeed, we've heard from other sources that Marvel has been trying to force merchandise contracts. Can you imagine the people sitting there like trying to force the contracts? Because this is all based on the goodwill of how much this stuff used to sell. Used to sell. That's all of their credit and all of their credit worthiness, all of their ability to go back on history and say, hey, you know who you're dealing with. You want a Spider-Man toy? Fine. You can have your Spider-Man toys, but you're going to have to take all this other stuff we're trying to push out because equity, diversity, include whatever, and they get away with it, but up until a certain point. And then what's going to wind up happening is what? Obviously, people are not going to continue to be doing business with this stuff if it doesn't sell. Stores won't buy it. Manufacturers won't pay to license it. And then everything's collapsed. It's all like it's leading to a collapse. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you think it's leading to a collapse. Big help when I see your comments. Your licensed manufacturers don't want to produce a line of items that receive abysmal focus group reaction. So you force them under the belief that you know better, and the flood of products will have parents buying it just because it's Marvel. Well, it doesn't work that way. Especially with parents. Parents know these characters. Parents grew up with these characters. They know what's good and they what's not good. New stuff could be good too, but it actually has to be good. You can't just say, well, it's got a Marvel logo on it, so buy it. I could also add the following. While Disney merchandising departments writes up contracts from a merchandising perspective, all the power is still with the divisions, Marvel, Disney, and Pixar, because the key character pulls, design, screen time, future plans, characterization, in-story interactions, reside on the creative side. So in other words, when you're explaining what the characters are and who they are, what they're about, what their powers are, you're also explaining, like, look, this is how much screen time this character is going to have. This is what their story is. This is who they're interacting with. Doctor Strange is interacting with Spider-Man. Okay, then he's cool. And this is how much he's going to play into the future with future films and stories. Okay, but that all does come from the creative side. That comes from the studio, not from the people making merchandising contracts. So you have 20,000 Vision t-shirts in stock and you want to know if there are impending plans for the character to help move the merchandise. Well, good luck with that. In that example, the shirts will be moved by the pound to a developing nation for tax credits. So those shirts of Vision that are now unsold because they're not promoting Vision because whatever, they decided not to, not woke enough, they'll be given to a third world country and they'll take a tax credit for the production of it. And the finances are so bizarre that sometimes they make more money doing it that way. But that will not last forever. Again, 100% how the industry works, and those who work there know it. Where do those President Hillary Clinton victory t-shirts go? Because she didn't actually win. They go to developing countries. Where do all those Lightyear 2022 baseball caps go? Ship them to Rwanda as a charitable gift and write it off. Look how scary this character looks. Scary, eh, Jack? Star Wars used to be $1 billion brand, but in 2022, Star Wars can't inspire enough backers to bring a new Hasbro toy to market. That crowdfunded lightsaber they couldn't bring. Like, that doesn't make any sense. They already had successful crowdfunded projects with the Jabba the Hutt campaign they ran on Hasbro. Why can't they make a new Star Wars? I mean, it really, really shows you there is not interest in this stuff. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Also, Disney's exploring a membership program like Amazon Prime to offer discounts and perks. Now, Disney needs to generate more revenue. This is coming, of course, from the Wall Street Journal. Pretty fancy. Entertainment giant looks to package streaming, parks, and merchandise offerings together. Aims to add commerce feature to Disney+. This makes sense. This is smart. This is what Dan Loeb is trying to tell them. Hey, guys, you have a lot of unique things going on there. That's the activist investor that started with $1 billion investment in Disney stock and has owned as much as 5 times of that million shares of Disney stock in the recent past, and is trying to get essentially control of the board of directors to force some intelligent decisions over there. But yeah, they have a unique thing going at Disney. As long as they don't get people hating the brands, they're willing to, they'll get people spending more money. Walt Disney Company is exploring a membership program that could offer discounts or special perks to encourage customers to spend more on its streaming services, theme parks, resorts, and merchandise. Probably cruises too, according to people familiar with the discussions. So why does this article even appear? Why does this appear? Because Disney probably has some bad financial news coming up, and they're under attack by Dan Loeb, the activist investor who wants to change their board of directors. This initiative is something that this should have happened at least a year ago. When they launched Disney Plus, this should have been in place with an executive running it that knows what the hell they're doing, so that they could lay out a plan and start to get some results. Because sure, you have all this data, you have all this information. Why would you not offer, what they're talking about with this service would offer things like free shipping, free discounts at Whole Foods. Well, they can't have discounts at Whole Foods. They have discounts at their retail stores and on their websites and things like that. Sort of like a Disney Prime kind of thing, like Amazon Prime. But why do they not have this in place already? This is the kind of thing they're going to play catch up on it. I'll give you a link to this so you can follow it some more and see what you think of it. But they really, really need to get some stuff under control, and they need to stop destroying their brands. This is probably the best thing they had was Baby Yoda. That's the best new thing they did. But the rest is like, they're just weakening the brands. Lastly, McFarlane, I saw this on Ethan Van Sciver did a video on this today because I looked at this morning and I'm like, all right, it's a Flash toy, who cares? But Ethan points out, yeah, this is Todd McFarlane publishing a DC comic along with a new Flash toy that does look pretty cool. This is coming from Bleeding Cool. Flash gets his own wave of DC Comics Page Punchers. That's their series for DC Comics toys from McFarlane. The Flash is back as McFarlane Toys has unveiled a brand new 7-inch Page Punchers figure wave. It was only last week that McFarlane revealed another Page Punchers wave with the World of Injustice 2 making a return. It looks like that Flash is back this time with a brand new comic as well. And the cover art does look pretty cool. It does look like McFarlane publishing DC Comics. You can tell me what you think of that in the comments below. Barry's getting a new armored suit design. It will include the usual Speed Force running effects. This design's fun and unique and will be a nice costume to show off in the Flash Museum. And you can pre-order this toy as well. I'll have a link to this so you can check out the toy a little bit more yourself. It does look actually quite cool, and bringing cool back to DC Comics. I mean, if they can get McFarlane to do more, anything could be possible. I tend to be optimistic that the woke stuff is going to disappear. You can't just keep producing garbage and tell investors to shut up. Yes, you can try to hustle and find new ways of making money and keep people at bay, keep investors at bay while you push your ideological agenda. But ultimately, when you control all of these brands and the results are not there, eventually, there are still people out there like Todd McFarlane. There are people out there that can produce good content, and they're going to produce exciting content with these legacy brands. I think things are going to turn around. Just my big thought has always been like, I don't see why they do periodicals when they could be doing graphic novels. I was talking to a large independent publisher who was explaining to me like, well, Adam, why wouldn't we do periodicals? Then we can just collect them as graphic novels. And the answer is because the focus of a graphic novel is different than the focus of producing some periodicals and throwing it together as a trade paperback. It is a different product. So I think, tell me what you think in the comments below. Obviously anything's possible, but as far as DC getting away with producing weird woke crap, that's not going to go on that much longer. All right, let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up when you like it. And I will see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.